It's time for us to talk. Our guest today is the Member of Parliament, Honourable Member of Parliament for Odudu constituency, Mr. Nilante Vanderpuye. He is also a ranking member on the Local Government and Rural Development Committee, and of course he's on the Privileges Committee, where we often get a chance to see him at work, especially over the past few days. Mr. Vanderpuye, how nice to see you.
Kojo, thank you very much. The last time I was here was not a good time.
Yeah, the last time you were here was memorable for the wrong reasons. Yes. I recall. Yes. Well, I mean, it's been a while since then, and we're happy you're back with us, and we've got quite a bit to talk about. Once again, we must apologize. We extended an invitation to the NPP because we had wanted to have a conversation that would involve them as well, but they have not provided us with a guest. So, well, today you and I will have some time to dig into some things.
It will be exciting.
Indeed. And, you know, I'd like for us to touch on two things if we have time. The city, it appears that at least some of the ballooning is reversing. We'd like to talk about that later. But you've got your letter now. The NPP has written. The NPP has written to you. Roland and I were joking about how in secondary school, when you write letters to some girl and she doesn't respond, and then finally the letter comes, it's the most exciting feeling. I wonder whether the NDC has that feeling. But let's have a look at the letter first. This is what the chairman of the NPP wrote. Shall I read through it quickly? It's not particularly long. So we know the heading: invitation to a meeting on the subject of disbandment of party vigilante groups. On behalf of the NPP, I am pleased to officially invite you, the NDC, to a meeting to discuss the menace of political vigilantism which has gained notoriety in the country and explore ways of permanently disbanding the various vigilante groups associated with Ghana's two major political parties. We can move on. The invitation has been necessitated not only by the President's call during the 2019 State of the Nation's address, but also by the legitimate concerns expressed by overwhelming Ghanaians about this menace and the need for the two political parties to do the needful in the interest of the nation. You would recall that since the President made this call, our national chairman, Honourable Freddie Blay, has been engaging your good self on telephone conversations on the subject. We think the time is now right for the parties to hold this crucial meeting, which the whole nation has been looking forward to. We have also taken notice of your request to expand the scope of the engagement to include multiple stakeholders and wish to assure that the NPP avails itself for the consideration at the meeting, which will afford the two parties the opportunity to agree on the various stakeholders to be invited in the subsequent engagements. The NPP proposes that this crucial meeting comes off during this week at a venue convenient to you. And so we entreat you to, as soon as possible, get in touch with the party when you find a suitable venue for this meeting. Thank you, yours sincerely, and it's signed by the General Secretary, John Bwedu. So,
thank you very much, Kojo, and let me say good morning to our cherished viewers, and especially to the good people of Gamashi, Ashidu Keteke, Odododo, Odoniamanfo, Anangma Anate, Anangme.
How do you remember?
I want to say, on the face value, it's a worthy response, and I think I will sit here and say that the NPP has done the needful. In the State of the Nation address, the President said the party, the NPP, must invite us. And we felt the most appropriate way to do this is what they've done now, and not by telephone call initially done by the chairman. We responded to the President's call through a letter to His Excellency the President, stating certain concerns. The President reacted in a way that I felt was very unpresidential and very undiplomatic. The language, the tonation of the language and everything was too high for that office. And to me, I felt the President did not write that letter. or the president possibly did not see that letter. Because from the demeanor with which he spoke at the State of the Nation address, I was not expecting that reaction to have followed our concerns. The NDC raised those concerns with a good heart, because we have come to accept the fact that this issue of vigilantism, this issue of militias, as Henrietta Mensah-Bosu has defined it aptly, and being sponsored by warlords, has gone beyond the NDC and the MPP. It's a national catastrophe. Looking at the level it got to at Ayawaso West Wagon, the sitting of the Militias Committee and the things that have come up should be an indication to all Ghanaians that this thing is no more Kojo Yankee and Elante thing. It's a national calamity, because the proportion and the level they've gotten to were almost like a rebel force, a terrorist group. These have become much more armed people than even our regular security services. These have become people who do not take instructions from our regular security services, but have their own modus operandi. It's a group of people now who do not come under the IGP. They don't take command from the IGP anymore. So we felt that the level this thing has gotten to should not be like a party, two parties sitting and talk. It's a national issue. And if it's a political thing, we think that all political parties should have a stake in it, because it's the politics that have generated this, that are giving birth to this. As we see them talk about NDC and MPP, do you know what the CPP is thinking about? Do you know what the PNC is thinking about? If this is the only way we can win political power, and we have not done it, and so it's become NDC and MPP, why don't we also do it? So what we need to do is to broaden up the scope of the discussion. 2, this thing demands security experts, intelligence experts. So we need to sit down in a holistic manner as a country to look at this. NDC, MPP are not the only people in this country. Yes, we may be governing the country at one point or the other because we use political instruments, political vehicles. But the country does not belong to the two political parties. Every Ghanaian, when tomorrow there is a disaster of the sort, a security disaster of the sort, it is not only NDC and MPP people who will suffer. Ordinary people who may not be even political may suffer. So we thought that we should really sit down and have an exhaustive, more comprehensive discussion on this issue, looking at it as a national issue and not political issue. Because immediately become NDC, MPP becomes political. And in this country, anytime issues become political, the most salient issues are swept under the carpet. Supposing NDC, MPP goes to sit down and we talk, and the NDC says that disband your people, and MPP says disband your people, we leave the table. Yes, we've disbanded. And they resurface on election day, what will you do? What about the structures that are supposed to deal with these people? What about the institutions that are supposed to maintain the law, discipline, and order in the country? If you leave them out of this discussion, how are we going to make sure that we achieve the objective? These are the things that we thought about. 2, we also thought about the fact that the president all along cannot be sincere as far as this is concerned. Because in 2016, the president, as a leader of the party, brought in South Africans to train these boys who have become a national,
Are you stating this as a categorical fact that it was the president who brought them in?
He was the leader of the NPP, and NPP brought the people in.
You notice how the NDC often points out that these groups, they have sponsors who might be members of the party, but they are not an organ of the party. So if that's the case for you, is that not the case for the NPP as well? Could it not have been some individuals who brought these guys in to train?
So as the leader of the party, I expected him to immediately say that our party do not want to be associated with these people. He didn't. And today he's president. He has executive powers under the constitution of this country. The president does not need you and I to effectively ask that these groups are disbanded. Their criminal activities are curtailed and abated by the police. All that the president needed was to use that executive power he has and order the IGP to do his work without fear or favor.
But we heard him tell the IGP to do exactly that.
And what has happened? Immediately, when the people misbehaved in Kumasi, at the RCC,
You mean those who went to the court?
Delta Forces, RCC. From there, what did they do? They came and threatened the president at Tema. You understand? The next time they were at the courts, abusing the courts, what were done to them? They were ferried to Accra and given a lunch at the presidency and told, go and sin no more, with an envelope. The president followed up to Kumasi to virtually go and plead on their behalf at Otumfuo's place.
Well, maybe what we're seeing is the new broom. Let's hear the president himself in a meeting with the Ghana Bar Association at Jubilee House yesterday. He reiterated his commitment to disband party militias. Let's have a look. Let's hear what he said.
We're going to have a law-based state. Our actions, both as communities and as individuals, governed by the rule of law. The responsibility cannot only be that of the state. The wider society is involved. Obviously, the state must take a primary role because the enforcement of laws is squarely the responsibility of the executive in our own constitutional arrangements, and so it should be. And I believe that calling upon the executive to be alive to its responsibilities is an important civic responsibility you're discharging. And I'm sensitive to it and accept the challenge of what we need to do to ensure that our society is not one which condones impunity. In the issue of vigilantism, the need to uphold the rule of law in our country, address issues of impunity. We're going to have a law-based state. Our actions, both as communities and as individuals, governed by the rule of law. The responsibility cannot only be that of the state. The wider society is involved. Obviously, the state must take a primary role because the enforcement of laws is squarely the responsibility of the executive in our own constitutional arrangements, and so it should be. And I believe that calling upon the executive to be alive to its responsibilities is an important civic responsibility you're discharging. And I'm sensitive to it and accept the challenge of what we need to do to ensure that our society is not one which condones impunity. In the issue of vigilantism and all of that forms part and parcel of these acts of impunity that we need to deal with. We're dealing with it in difficult circumstances. There's still considerable unemployment for the youth of our country. So it's relatively easy to co-opt, I wouldn't call them innocent, but young people into all kinds of dangerous activities. But we need to come to grips with it. And I want to assure you, and through you, the Ghanaian people, that whatever steps that need to be taken to deal with these phenomena of impunity, I'm going to do my best to take it. I call for your support and the support of all rightful citizens in our society to contribute to the effort that is being made to drive impunity out of our system and to uphold and safeguard the rule of law.
That was the president speaking to the Ghana Bar Association when he met with them at Jubilee House yesterday. Now, this is perhaps the latest that the president has done in this vein. Just before this, he wrote in response to the last NDC letter and said, look, I've told the Attorney General to, start drafting legislation. Now, I don't know how that particular move is being taken by your party, and in fact, I'm interested in your own view on it as well, because in essence, what the president said at State of the Nation was, look, I want these two parties to deal with this matter, preferably within a week. If they don't, I'm going to go the route of legislation. First thing I want to know, in terms of your own view, is do you feel the president is signaling that Well, I asked the parties to do it. It doesn't appear that they can.
You see, what has happened in the last 12 hours tells me that the president is not in sync with his own party. Because the last time, in response to our letter, I said that, look, I've asked the Attorney General to go ahead with the legislation because the parties were unable to meet. And then the party comes out with a letter to the NDC. Is the MPP telling us that we didn't hear what the president said? We are not in sync with what the president's decision has been, that we could not meet as parties, so he was going to get the Attorney General to pass a legislation. Is the president telling us that, look, I'm getting the legislation, the parties you're meeting now is not important? Is that what we are going to see? Because that's what I want to hear, Phil. 2, the MPP's letter has stated clearly the concession to some of the demands of the NDC in their letter to the president, upon which the president totally discounted the NDC. He said, look, you people, I can see that you are not serious. So the legislation...
He said he was dismayed.
Yes. If he used dismayed, he was surprised that we should make those demands. Today, his own party have accepted. So the NDC thought right. We were much more forward-looking in all this, that look, this thing has gone beyond us. Let's have other stakeholders. And I'm happy the MPP have accepted that. It means that the MPP have seen some wisdom in the NDC demand, which, of course, the presidency did not see.
They say they are happy to discuss your issues when you meet. I don't know whether that, implicitly means that they agree.
The letter explicitly stated that they accept the NDC demand of having other stakeholders.
Can we have that letter up just one more time?
Yes.
Just so
that
we
they will have other stakeholders. If we can
please have that.
We've always, over the few days, we've also seen people, for example, Enin.
The second page, please.
Kwesi Enin, for example, coming out strong and say, this thing has gone beyond even Ghana. Let's even expand the scope.
Let's read this quote. It says, we have also taken notice of your request to expand the scope of the engagement to include multiple stakeholders and wish to assure that the NPP avails itself for the consideration at the meeting, which will afford the two parties the opportunity to agree on the various stakeholders to be invited in the subsequent engagement. So you are right. The party is saying that we agree to the concept of having other stakeholders.
Yes.
Let's meet and decide which ones. All right. All right.
So you see what I'm talking about here, which is at variance with the president's stand. Accepted. 2, the recent expose by Manasseh. Is it vigilantes in the heart of the city?
Militias.
Militias in the heart of the city. I like the word militias because that's the definition that has been given by Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, which I think, with the experience at the International Criminal Court and the rest, she thinks that is right. And that is very serious, because once we get to that level, once we accept that understanding, then we all will know the impact of militias on the security of nations. Because the Boko Harams and Al-Shabaabs and the rest started as militias. And so I'm happy.
Actually, they started as educational groups. Then they became militias. And then now we see what they are.
So you see, that expose itself also compromised on the integrity of the president as far as this is concerned. Because the expose mentioned one thing, that when the president saw the people, he virtually asked the commander, who are these people? He said, oh, your boys. Said, wow. Oh, they are good. They are nice.
That's hearsay, by the way. I mean, we didn't hear the president saying it. This is third party.
But that was a guy reporting to the troops.
That's right.
After they've gone for that assignment. You understand? I wasn't there. Possibly Manasseh himself wasn't there. But that was what happened. And the people cheered. Look, it tells you that the president had foreknowledge of that group.
That is if he was telling the truth. That is if this man was telling the truth.
So what do we need to do? All these things have to be further investigated. As I sit here, I will not think anything could come out of this meeting of the parties, anything could come out of the legislation and things, if as a people we are not ready to go further and say, who are these people who are over the period, over the years, have been recruited into the police, the army, and into national security. What are their backgrounds? Because I know a lot of these boys, the I group and all these guys, I know a lot of criminals, flagrant criminals, armed robbers, some of them killers, murderers, langers who have killed. And you have these people today being integrated into our security services. What would we do with national, let me say, security apparatus at their disposal? Are they not going to fester the criminality? Because we've seen situations where in this country policemen have even hired out their guns to armed robbers. So when you have these people entering our security apparatus now, and they've even gone to a level where they are not under the command of ordinary policemen in this country, not even the IGP, but they could be given command by other individuals, then it raises a lot of questions. So my this is that it's not just a matter of sitting down and taking decisions. What happens to these people? Can we find, they are Ghanaians, so they've been recruited into the security services. Can we select them out? Can we farm them out, reorientate them, reappraise them before they get them back into our security services? Which areas of our security services can we put these people in order for them to be managed properly, not to cause any damage? Because let me be frank with you, today, the integrity, the image, and the respect for our security institutions have gone down amongst a lot of Ghanaians because of the way they've allowed impunity to thrive. If a member of the invisible forces who recently said he was selling phones at Tipto could snatch a rifle from a police officer, and the police officer would just tremble and go back, and he used that rifle to shoot, when Kojo, obviously, when you and I are seen in town wearing a police uniform without authority, we could be arrested. But this person could snatch. When a group of people can use a vehicle that belongs to the police service, or if it doesn't belong to the police service, could put the police service insignia on the vehicle and use.
Well, they say they were assigned those vehicles.
But the IGP said no. The police operations commander said no. And as far as I'm concerned, the only people in the police service, if you request for a police security man here, the police could deploy somebody, but the police will only authorize the person to hold arms here. That's why not all policemen hold arms in the country. That's why even the prison service, the immigration service cannot hold arms. Because under our constitution, only the army and the police are allowed to hold arms. And even that one, you hold arms upon instruction. So if these people could just go around and do what they did, then my worry is that where are we? Are the political parties able and have that authority, that power, that mandate to demand certain things for them? That's why I think that it must be a national holistic thing that we also like the way we did the economic forum. Can we have a security forum where we can all take decisions, and then from there we see to it that all of us, from the president down to anybody in this way, we hold ourselves to it. It becomes a sacred norm for all of us. Then we all abide by. And that way, we can even find a way of seeing how do we from today going find out the most convenient way of recruiting people into our security services. Can we do effective screening? What sort of screening can we do to know the sort of people we recruit into our security services, in order to instill the confidence, the security, the respect, the dignity of the security services? For because look, the driver and the mate who beat up the policeman, they didn't beat up the policeman just for nothing. It's because the policeman, because some time ago, you dare not. You dare not.
It was today, a shocking image, I have to say.
Today, anybody there is no respect for the police anymore. There is no respect for, because the events that are happening is making people become frustrated with the system. And as a politician sitting here and knowing the political history of this country, I'm scared. I'm scared because let me be frank with you. I was talking to one gentleman. He said, look, what you are doing, you politicians are doing. Look, I will not be surprised if tomorrow we have some foolish adventurists taking this and throwing everything away. Then we go back. And I saw the wisdom in what he's saying. Because the way we are doing things.
Are you talking about somebody staging a coup or something?
Could you? If we have been given the mandate, the politicians, we've been given the opportunity to do this, and we could allow certain things like this, to go on, and then it becomes frustrating, so much frustrated. People are losing hope, and with the politicians. Is democratic culture supposed to be a grounds for indiscipline, impunity, outright abuse of rights and people? And when leadership is the one virtually festering this, nurturing this, it becomes a problem. So I think that the letter is in good faith. The two parties can meet as preliminary meeting, formal one, and then we should agree on certain basic principles. When we have agreed, in fact, if I should have the opportunity of talking to my national chairman, I think I will proffer some of these 1 or 2, 3 advices. Say, when you go to the table, these are the issues put across to them. And if the MPP really believe in it, I know, because let me tell you something. I know those behind the I group. Close to 50% of the I group members are boys who have been recruited from my constituency, Ablekuma South, Ablekuma Central, Wejagbawe, and then Ashama.
Are you certain of this? I mean, there might be some people from your constituency, but
we know
50%? I mean, Manasseh reports that they have thousands of people across the country.
I'm saying close to 50% of them. I know. At least close to 100 are from my constituency.
Wow.
Yes. And I know what these boys did in 2016. How they shot at us in 2016. How they demolished shirts, NDC supported shirts and things, the impunity.
Did you report this to the police?
We did. We did.
In 2016?
One of the guys they shot is dead. After the elections, how they went around shooting, you know, they could be in cars and motorbikes and be firing shots around in town. Just about a month ago at a funeral, these boys came because one of them lost their mother. And they came, and it's like a festival where people are firing musketry. They were shooting live bullets at the funeral. Some of these boys.
I want us to, because we could talk about this all day, but I want us to move on and talk about the city. When it was appreciating in value at an alarming rate, the NDC were not the only ones who complained about it. Businessmen, traders, everybody, well, most people seemed to be concerned by it. Now it is trending downwards, or actually the value is appreciating at a fast rate. Let me explain. So it was 4 cedis 92 pesos in January, 1st January, 4 cedis 92 pesos, and it depreciated by about 19%, and so it got as high, as cheap as 5 cedis 77 pesos to a dollar on March 14th, which was just last week. 5 cedis 77. So from the 14th of March, 5 cedis 77. Today is the 19th, isn't it? Yeah. So in 5 days, it has come down from 5 cedis 77 to 5 cedis 47. That's what we just registered in 5 days.
Bank rate?
Yes, these are bank rates.
Yeah. So, what about the black markets?
No, all the rates I've quoted throughout were bank rates, so we'll stick with that. Now, this is fast. I mean, 5 days. It's fast. We don't know if it's sustainable. We don't know any of that yet. But what I said was fast, and so I've just justified that with these figures. So it is coming down. The suggestion is that this is a positive reaction to the fact that we are expecting $3 billion, and it was oversubscribed. That's true. Almost 300% oversubscribed. So is this not an indication that things are looking up?
Is $3 billion liquid cash?
Oh, it's a bond. It's a bond. We know how bonds are.
So,
how bonds
so
work.
that will definitely not have any dramatic effect.
Well, the market
It
seems
will
to
have
be
dramatic effect on
responding.
investment and not in cash flow and day-to-day trade. Let me say the issue is simple. Probably the effect of the $800 million that was injected into the market, into the economy within a week, the cosmetic dressing that we've seen over the period is what has given the city some lifeline. If that had not been done, I'm sure we'll have been hit by six by now. Having grown up in Zongo Lane, I've known the way the dollar and the cedi behaves. Let me say this: it's good that we injected 800 million. During the NDC time, that injections were done. What was the response of Bawumia? Exactly 16 November 2014 or something. What did he say? What was the response of Nana Akufo-Addo? They said those cosmetic dressing was not a solution to our problem.
Were they wrong?
Events today have proven to us that they were not honest in their declaration and conclusions at that time. You see,
Explain,
my worry today is the fact that I don't want you and I to sit down here to talk. I want Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the man Nana Akufo-Addo said he's endowed with all the wisdom in the world. You understand? When Nana Akufo-Addo was saying it, like Kwekwa Nancy, his head was swollen. Today, he's reaping the fruits of that Kwekwa Nancy myth that was painted about him.
But Mr. Vanderpuye,
And he has lost his voice.
Mr. Vanderpuye, the fundamental question though is,
I
was he wrong?
like the word fundamental.
Yeah, was he wrong? I mean, he gave a certain diagnosis. I'm not talking about whether or not he has been able to cure the disease, but was his diagnosis wrong?
As we see today, I can say he was wrong.
Really?
Yes.
So this is not window dressing.
Because if he diagnosed it, and today he is sitting as a surgeon, sitting before the same patient with the same disease, and he cannot have the right diagnosis for it, it means that what he professed a time before was wrong, or either he knew it and he was lying.
Well,
You see, me, what I say, I told somebody yesterday that what Bawumia is suffering is what the Bible talks about. Giving glory to yourself. You understand? For him to have said and said that, look, I know all. This is
really
wrong.
what he said.
But what did he say? This is wrong. You can't, when the fundamentals of your economy is wrong, the foreign exchange will expose you.
So the question you have to ask is...
The worst form, Kojo, if you tell me, the worst form is when at the time when this government is touting some gains. And for the first time, we have trade surplus. We have balance of payment surplus and all those things. Every economic theory will tell you that in the situations you have this, there's no way your currency should suffer what is suffering. It means that they are massaging figures, they are lying to us, they are being dishonest about the sort of figures they are churning out as far as the economy is concerned. I sit here and I say, look, you said Tekpe's time, he put in $400 million, and you said it's a very lazy approach to solving the problem. The real issue, as far as it's concerned, is the over dependence on imports. Today, we are importing more rice than we used to import. Do you understand?
But has their message changed? And to check that, let's listen to the president, who spoke about the city. I think this was yesterday as well.
The president's speech yesterday was different from what he said in 2016.
Well, you just pointed out that back then they were saying the problem is the fundamentals. The problem is the fundamentals.
So didn't they know it was fundamental?
So let's hear the president now, and let's see whether the message has changed. Let's hear the president.
The difficulties that temporary dislocations in the currency bring about are something that all of us have. it touches all of us, and there's a need for us to find solutions. But I'm thinking that our public discourse should also begin to focus much more on some of the structural problems involved in our currency. Then we have, yes, there are moments when you can fault or look askance at the manner in which the currency is being managed at any one given time. But there are structural problems that we so far do not articulate loudly enough, in my view. What are these structural problems? We live in a country where we are overly dependent on the importation of things for our daily sustenance. Things that we can produce, we continue to import them. And at the same time, we don't generate enough exports. We need, because it is the issue on the current account, the persistent deficits in our national income statistics on current account. That is the responsibility. That is what gives rise to the frailty of our currency. This is the matter that we should, all of us, understand as the origin of the real fragility of our currency.
That was the president yesterday. So I guess what he's saying is that, look, we're all contributing to this. So if we're going to fix the currency and the economy permanently, then he kind of needs our help. We all need to stop, desiring imports as much as we do.
I'm very happy the president is calling for my help. That's exactly what Mojomama said last week, that if they want to solve the problem, they should call for help if they don't know. Because you know something, my problem is the dishonesty in all this. If Baumia and Nanado knew in 2014, 2015, 2016 that it is a structural problem of our economy that is causing this, they should have come out to say it.
But they did.
But not talk about the fact that the NDC was incompetent. Not talk about the fact that they have the men. Baumia stood there and said, when it comes to the management of economy, we have this person, we have this person, we have that person, we have this person. The NDC haven't got it. The people who were so competent are very competently managing the economy today. Today, they have gone back to say the same things we're talking about. You know what Jomama did?
But what's the evidence that they are not? I mean,
the evidence is clear.
Already over 5 days,
the evidence,
they are regaining some value for the currency.
The NDC time, didn't we regain value? It's come. You will see what will happen if we don't change the structure as he's talking about. What will happen? Trust me, by the end of the year, the dollar will go to 6.
But isn't it a process? I'm not being a prophet of doom. Changing the fundamentals of the economy. I agree. Isn't it a process?
Do you know what NDC did?
And do you know that they are not carrying out that process?
What the NDC did was not what they are doing. NDC did not give stimulus packages to foreign companies. You understand? One, if you go and give money to Sunda, let's sit down and ask ourselves, what increase in employment is Sunda creating? All this money they say they've given to these companies, you tell us number of employment that they've created out of it. Do you know what we did? We decided to set up the Commander Sugar Factory. Do you know what? To reduce the imports of sugar.
And nothing ever came of that.
Because they
our currency kept depreciating.
When was the Commander Sugar Factory commissioned? They've taken over. What are they supposed to do? They just inject.
While it was under your management, you did nothing.
NDC, when was it commissioned?
We were there. It was in 2015.
So we have set up the factory. It's a process. We've laid the bed. It's for them to sleep on it.
No, there was some time for you to sleep on it. You didn't.
We did.
And in any case, in spite of all these things,
the father started production. We saw sugar, Commander Sugar Factory, sugar on the market. 2, not only Commander. We set up another sugar factory up north. 3, we expanded. Government injected close to $20 million into the rice industry to reduce the importation of rice.
Yet the currency kept depreciating throughout your tenure.
Because all those things will not bear fruits immediately.
Then you should have patience for this government.
Patience?
Yeah.
Oh,
since you understand that these things don't bear fruit.
No, you see, the issue is that they are not doing what we started. They're not continuing what we started. That will give the sort of stability we are looking for.
Maybe they are doing something better.
What are they doing?
Yeah, they have the men.
Well, they have the men. I'm happy you said they have the men. I'm surprised the men have lost their voices now. The men have totally lost their voice, and now all that they do is to come and sit in parliament and behave like lizards, knocking their head on the finance minister's presentation of budget, or travel to India and go and hold a sword.
But these things are all yielding positive results.
Bawumia has
for Ghana.
become a tourism minister and an escort to the Minister of Finance. Instead of standing there to talk about and organize, I want Bawumia to continue with his lectures.
As a vice president, you think he has time for that?
When he was asking Pakwese Misata, the late Pakwese Misata, when he was asking him those questions, was he expecting Pakwese Misata to leave the Flagstaff House and come and answer those questions?
Oh, well, yeah. You can answer questions. It's different from holding lectures.
But all the questions we are asking, the question you and I are asking now, where is Bawumia to answer?
No, he's working. He's at work.
Where?
Currently in India, I believe.
He has not spoken for the whole year.
That's not true. We have quotes from him almost every day in the newspaper.
On the city?
Well, not on the city.
Dollar?
Not on the city.
Those are the areas I want him to be speaking. Today, he's no more singing the city chorus.
Should you not rather be interested in what the finance minister has to say?
Finance minister.
About the city?
I want Bawumia to be singing the city chorus.
Why not the finance minister?
Oh, the finance minister, the man himself cannot say anything.
Why not? It's his job.
He's interested.
He's the one who's drawing a...
He is interested in collapsing banks.
He's the one who is drawing a salary.
He is interested in collapsing
for managing
banks.
The economy.
He is interested in collapsing banks to create a monopoly for his banking and financial enterprise.
Allegedly.
Fine, that's my conclusion. You see, many people. Last week I listened to is it Koji Thompson or something of Dallas Financial Services?
Ken Thompson.
Make cogent. On Saturday I watched your program, and is it the Imani, the vice president of Imani? Is it Kofi Bento?
Kofi Bento.
Yeah, made serious and cogent together with Dr. Emmanuel Akwete and the rest. Is it people in this country have ideas? You cannot be the repository of knowledge. So bring people on board. When we saw that things were difficult, we organized the economic forum, which they refused to attend.
What came of that?
A lot of good.
Really?
Because the city got stabilized at that point.
For how long?
Oh, for the whole of 2016. We saw the city.
Plus, let's not forget, well, the forum was in 2014.
Yes.
But let's not forget, I mean, that forum is the one that birthed some policies that were rather disastrous, like the ban on the use of the dollar by local enterprises, and that was genuinely disastrous.
Hasn't this government talk about the need for us not to be trading in the dollar?
It didn't work, is the point. It doesn't matter that someone else is suggesting
why are they suggesting it now?
But the point I'm trying to make is that the economic forum wasn't as useful as you are seeking to portray.
That economic forum brought one thing that almost all of us have talked about, that the need for Ghana to consider trading in the yuan. The Bank of Ghana is still pursuing it.
2014, you came up with that. By 2016, you'd done nothing about it.
By 2016,
in fact, you had abandoned your own findings.
The Bank of Ghana had formally entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Chinese government on the use of Ghanaian businesses transacted in the yuan, to the extent that Bank of Ghana created a platform, a desk at the Bank of Ghana where Ghanaian businessmen could transfer their money or deposit their dollars here and then get yuan in China. I know for a fact.
Is that desk not still there?
Because somebody has taken over and somebody think that policy was not worthwhile.
So it's not happening anymore?
Well, I don't know.
We need to check that.
So this, we did put up issues. And I'm saying that we took pragmatic steps in order to change the fortune of this country. But Ghana has gone reverse.
Right.
We've gone reverse.
Let's very quickly, in the little time we have left, let's talk about Cherponi. We're concerned. I mean, so many people displaced, scores of them displaced, and unfortunately we've already registered some deaths And I see somebody in black and khaki there. I guess that must be a national security operative.
No. That cannot be a vigilante or data forces. That
no, I said a national security operative.
No, I don't think so.
Well, he's in black and khaki, so...
so now black and khaki has become the very...
Well,
I would tell the police
any other
police
force.
service, I beg you, don't wear black and khaki anymore.
I don't know of any other force that wears black and khaki. But anyway, this is of serious concern.
Yes.
This is coming up again all of a sudden.
I feel so bad for my colleague, member of parliament. In fact, for the past weeks, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes at all. He's virtually abandoned the work in parliament and he's in the constituency. The last time he was talking, he was almost in tears when he raised this issue on the floor of the house. It is not a good thing. I saw a little of such things in 2017 when it happened at Old Fadama Agbobushi area between the NDC supporters, and it wasn't a good side at all. Me myself, I had to get out for some time. What is happening? And you see, the situation is even worse when you consider the sort of living conditions of the people already. Just look at the pictures you're showing and look at the environment, the living conditions of the people. And then these people, their situation are further aggravated by these arsons and touching of hearts and the rest. And then displacing them. Some of them have run into the bush. You don't know how they are living. Women and children. So I will plead with the groups there to let human feeling prevail, and then end the carnage. And then I will also urge the security agencies to be very decisive in their work. What I want to do this morning, I listened to your news, and I think the NADMO is also not doing their work well, because according to the police of PRO there, the NADMO are giving an excuse that they are unable to reach out to the people who have been displaced because of the sort of stressful situations there. And the police say, you have not come to us to ask for the sort of security that you need. It's like what is happening in Venezuela. You know, you can't cross, 8 of them cannot cross to go and give because of this a lack of security. I think NADMO should be decisive, go to the police people and tell them this is where we want to go, this is where we have the people, we've identified the people in this area, and so go. Because NADMO itself is a security agency. So the NADMO cannot behave as if they are a different group of people offering a humanitarian service. No, they are not a charity organization. They are a state security operative. So what they should do is to coordinate through national security. This is where national security comes in when it comes to this situation, because this is a national security issue. National security,
maybe I was right about that guy we saw.
National security should coordinate effectively the police, the army, NADMO, to see how we can reach to these people and offer them a sort of humanitarian need they need today. Whilst we take a look at the main security operative situation of bringing tension, calming tension, disarming people, and then further we can look at how we can help the people who have been displaced, people whose houses have been touched and the rest, to rebuild their families and rebuild their homes. But what I would say is that now let's go to the root cause, because this thing has become perennial. What are the causes? Can we as a people sit down and say, how do we end this? Because it happens almost every year in that area and in the Bumprugu area. It happens all the time, every year. Sometimes when you listen to the causes, the reasons, very trivial. So why can't, as a people, we try to resolve these issues? If it's about land, how do we make concessions and say, look, this is, because the North has vast land, which I believe if we are sharing, all of us will have a parcel. So why should people fight over that land? Yes, the land itself will need a lot of support, fertilizer, a lot of to be able to be fertile. And the little that we have to farm, it becomes a problem. So I think that when it comes to the players, the political actors, churches, religious organizations, and all of us, the chiefs, opinion leaders in that part of the country, to sit down and say, why do we always want to cut our throats for simple, trivial issues? Can we end this and see ourselves one as people, see ourselves as family, and then we can. Why can't we sit down to discuss these issues when they happen, and we have to resort to touching houses, burning people's properties, killing, in order to resolve this. So it's a worry to me.
Yeah.
And my colleague, a member of parliament, I feel bad for him, and I pray that the God Almighty will give him strength, will give him the guidance and the knowledge to be able to have the sort of words that he can speak to his people to touch their hearts and let people move away from the violent instincts that they've put up in themselves to see how they can help. It's worrying, and I think that the media should do more. And I thank Joy FM Multimedia for this thing on TV and on radio for the past 2 days. It's been good.
Yeah.
But another worrying thing for me is, Kojo, as we talk today, on our platform, we've just seen another young schoolgirl missing. This one, I think, Achimota School. I saw it on a platform yesterday. I have forgotten the name, something Anan. Has not been seen for the past 3 days. I think it's a worry. Already our Takrade girls have not been seen. And the police are still not telling us something that will make us more confident in whatever they are doing. The investigation is becoming too much. Investigation. Today, lucky enough, you have suspects. What the police should be doing for now, by this time, is to go beyond the suspect and see people he has talked to, telephone conversations he's had, and all those things, and see how we can resolve it. 216 days is just too much. As I sit here as a parent, I don't know how the parents of these girls are feeling, what they are going through. It's worrying, and I think we should do more. We should do more, and the confidence in state institutions is waning, and these are the things that we need to do in order to restore that confidence. I think that the police should not always be interested in the low-hanging fruits, not just be interested in the things that you can't just happen. Hey, speedily, for example, for report, Sami Jenfi report. Those things are not the most important things. These are the things that will make people have confidence in the police.
Yeah. I think we can share some information about this young lady.
The one I talked about?
Yes, indeed. I have some information here.
The Achimota schoolgirl?
That's right.
That's wonderful.
It's a truly worrying case. Let me see. I had it right. Oh, here we are. And this is something that's been going around on social media. It says, please help with any information on the whereabouts of Anne Ankra.
Yeah, Anne Ankra.
I've just sent this to the team, so hopefully we can put up a picture of Anne Ankra on our screen in just a few moments. She was dropped off at Spintex Junction yesterday in the morning around 10 a.m. To head for classes at Achimota School, but nothing has been heard from her since. There are some phone numbers here. We have to verify this story, of course, before we can put out the details, but that is the story that's going round, and as soon as we've done the verification, we'll start putting out the pictures as well, just to do our bit to help. But Mr. Vanderpuye, you're absolutely right. The security forces need to do a lot more to instill to re-instill the confidence that Ghanaians must have in them. And bringing back our tardy girls would go a long way to do that. So I hope they are successful. I want to thank you once again for making the time to be with us.
I'm so pleased to have been here. It's been fruitful from what happened the last time. Today has been. But I wish I've told Mama V and the rest. I wish we have. I've been on this set for a long time with my late brother Ejakun.
Yes.
And nothing of the sort happened. I've been here with Mercer, I've been here with others. It's unfortunate what happened last time happened, but it also goes to the fact that sometimes we need to look at people when we are pairing people. We have to look at people who at least have the same level of understanding and appreciation, and you think this people will not have it. But when we put up people who cannot accommodate one another, sometimes it becomes
we don't want to do that, and we do have faith that people of your stature have so much experience in what you do that no matter who you're paired with, you'll be able to.
No, it's not always like, because it's like driving. You may be a defensive driver, but you don't know who is coming from the other side and what the person is going to throw at you.
Fair enough. We're glad that is resolved. We're all working for our nation. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
But Mr. Bawumia, find your voice. You've been mute for too long.
Oh dear. That is Mr.
So we are putting the search icon
Vanderpuye
on Bawumia's voice. We are
Mr.
for his
Nilante
voice.
Vanderpuye, who is, of course, Honourable Member of Parliament for Odudu Dio. He certainly bleeds red, white, black, and green for the NDC.